Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to tonight's workshop, Overcoming Imposter Syndrome with WISE. This workshop is brought to you by Pathfinder. As most of you know, Pathfinder is the extracurricular program for incoming first years and second years at Northeastern, and we provide a safe and inclusive space for students to discuss and pursue their passions. If you aren't already a part of Pathfinder, we can drop the link in the chat for you to apply. As we said, it is open to first and second years. If you are an upperclassman or recent alum, we have moderator positions open, so you can also click the link that'll be in the chat to apply to that. And then lastly, we'll also put a link to our website so you can learn more about the program as a whole, more of the resources that we offer, and see what events are coming up later. Our next workshop is next week with IDEA, all about pitching and failing fast. So make sure to sign up for that. And I will pass it over to WISE.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Navigating Imposter Syndrome and Investing in Yourself workshop with WISE. I'm Lori, and I have my co-host here, Saasha. She's our engagement associate at WISE, and we also have our two lovely co-directors, Anna and Hannah, here as well. So we're super excited to start our workshop today. Let me get started. Hannah and Anna, if you guys want to quickly introduce yourselves, that'd be great.
Thanks, Lori, and thank you to the Pathfinder team for having us here today. My name is Anna Richlick. I am a fourth year studying business and design, and I am one of the two co-directors of WISE this semester or this year. I'm so excited to be here today, and Lori and Saasha have such a great workshop planned for you guys, so it's going to be great.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah. I'm the other co-director of WISE. I'm a third year studying marketing and social innovation entrepreneurship in DeMar-McKim, and my minor is sustainable business practices. I'm very happy to be here.
Amazing. And hello, everyone, again. I'm Lori, and I'm this semester's community coordinator for WISE. I'm a third year major in politics, philosophy, and economics with a minor in fashion. And I'm currently the CBM at HBO, and also previously co-opted at Texas Investment Managers as a marketing operations co-op. So that was a lovely time there. How I got involved with WISE was actually after my first semester at NU in Greece. I got heavily invested with WISE when I came back from Europe and everything like that. And it has been the most amazing, incredible time. And I'm so glad that I'm here right now, even hosting my own workshop. So yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Saasha, and I'm the engagement associate. This is my first semester on the WISE team. I'm a second year, and I'm studying entrepreneurship and finance. And kind of how I got involved with WISE was I actually joined my very first semester on campus because I'd heard about WISE before. And quickly I realized that the community in WISE is one that no other club really was able to recreate. So I've been in WISE for almost 2 whole years now, and yeah.
So a little bit about WISE. WISE is dedicated to showcasing entrepreneurship in an interdisciplinary light and helping women develop an innovative mindset through biweekly workshops, a thought incubator, and mentorship pairings. So I'll pass it off to Hannah to talk a little bit more about the rest of our programming.
So our first program is We Learn. We Learn is open to the public. Anybody can come, anyone can attend. We've had a lot of incredible workshops in the past. It's a bi-weekly workshop series, and we showcase female innovators and founders from the Boston area or from anywhere to come in and teach us hard and soft skills that they've learned in their time in the industry that they work in. And teach us valuable lessons from their times as being founders or just professionals. It's been really amazing. We've had one incredible We Learned so far this semester, and had one table talk. Table Talks is a subsect of our We Learn program that also is discussion focused workshops, but they are run by Northeastern students. So Northeastern students can apply to be speakers and teach their skill they've learned based on their co-op experience, past leadership experiences, starting their own, side hustle. So it's a really great opportunity to connect with people who are really passionate about developing an innovative mindset. And then going into We Build. We Build is our thought incubator, which basically means, I know it sounds kind of funny and you don't know what that means, I barely do, but we have weekly innovation classes for a cohort of about 8 to 12 people that are passionate about developing their passions and turning them into, whether it's a business, a YouTube channel, a podcast, a project that they really want to work through. That's how you can do it, is in WeBuild. So we bring in founders and different innovators to come in and teach weekly topics, all based off of our curriculum that is meant to really build out your project and help you understand who your customer is, who you want to look at your project, how you can fund your project, what the core value of your project is, and how to sort of take the next step. So that's really awesome. Then Anna, do you want to cover We Support?
Totally. So We Support is our 2-tiered mentorship pipeline. We have about 20 pairings in each tier. And We Support is really all about creating meaningful relationships between upperclassmen and underclassmen, and then also upperclassmen and industry professionals. So there are great opportunities within We Support for both personal and professional development. Tier 1 is our underclassmen and upperclassmen pairings, and then Tier 2 is our upperclassmen with professional women across the country. So the cohort this semester is incredible, and if this is something that you're interested in for next semester, I highly encourage you to apply. It's a really valuable experience, and it allows you to meet people that you might have never met before. Oh, and then I can also talk a little bit. Oh, Lori, you talk about it.
Yeah, I can actually go over this. Yeah. So we have our lovely WISE community, and definitely focusing a lot on creating a community full of empowering women, and also just empowering people around us, and really having that support necessary for you guys here at Northeastern. So some of our past community events, we actually had our WISE Summit, which is one of our biggest events of the year, had almost around 300 plus attendees, or 250 plus, with a ton of speakers. And we even had our Imposter Syndrome workshop last semester, and our lovely Friendsgiving to our Google Cambridge. And this semester we had some new events such as icebreakers, new virtual networking events, and also a new Slack space that we've actually created for our community right here. So there's a lot more to talk about. There's a lot more social stuff in our social media and stuff like that. So if you guys want to be more in the know and also just be more updated in any WISE community events, please feel free to follow us on our Instagram, Northeastern WISE, or you can even subscribe to our newsletter. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the spiel of WISE. Thank you so much, Hannah and Anna, for coming here and talking about WISE here today. Pretty sure they're gonna hop off right after this, but Saasha and I can go right into the workshop right now. But thank you guys so much for coming. Bye, guys.
Enjoy the workshop.
Okay, I think Lori froze.
Lori, can you hear us? That is unfortunate timing.
Yeah, she's figuring it out.
Okay, you have touch with her. All right, I'll just let her rejoin, it looks like. So just a minute. Hey, Alexandra, welcome. We're just having some technical difficulties. Our host will be rejoining us in just a second.
No worries. Sasha, would it be helpful if I just share the screen, like I have the presentation, or?
Yeah, we can do that. I'm like talking to Lori right now. She's like figuring it out.
Hi guys, I'm so sorry about that. I had a technical difficulty right there. But
No worries.
Sasha, if you can actually go to the next slide.
Oh, do you want me to be the host? Is that
Great.
okay?
Actually, let me.
I can make you the host again, Lori. Is that what?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Could you make me the host so I can screen share really quick?
Yeah. All right, all set.
Great. Thank you guys. Perfect. Okay. Okay, sorry for that technical difficulty, guys, but let's get straight into the workshop. So first of all, let's just talk about what imposter syndrome is, first of all. So imposter syndrome really is just like that false belief that you have, whether it's like anxiety or you just have that doubt in whatever success or achievement that you've achieved. And a lot of people, I don't think, realize that they've actually experienced this a lot, especially because of the fact that it is prevalent in most majority of students, especially college students, and especially women as well, just because like we live in a society where it's really hard to kind of value others' opinions, and also we're so perfectionistic about every single thing we do. So I think that especially with imposter syndrome, what's commonly reflected through that is whether you have social anxiety, whether you did something great and then after that you kind of doubting yourself again, or you're really lacking the confidence to even do a certain thing, or sometimes you might even procrastinate in the end. And imposter syndrome really is important to kind of know as well, because the fact that, especially because the fact that a lot of people do have it, you have to really be in the mindset that you should know when you do have it, and also kind of take the next steps to kind of overcome it and also solve it as well. So next slide. Here is a short video on what imposter syndrome is really quick. I don't want to be like, lecturing you guys all the time. So if you guys can just sit back, relax, and just look at this quick video really quick on what imposter syndrome is and how you can overcome it.
Okay, now after that short video, we definitely got a good sense of what imposter syndrome is, how to combat it, and also how we honestly as college students experience in our own lives. So I guess um, because because of time, let's say, how do we experience imposter syndrome as college students and also just as innovators? For me, especially, I think just giving like my little testimonial on this, I definitely experienced imposter syndrome heavily as a college student. Mainly because it's like East Coast is a new thing for me, and also just because of Northeastern, the competitiveness of everything like that. I know that before I've attended Northeastern, I had some extracurricular experience, but then I remember when I came to WISE, actually after my time at NU in Greece, it was extremely hard for me to even apply to different e-board positions or even apply to different teams, just because of my lack of experience and stuff like that. I didn't really have the confidence, but I knew that about myself, especially when applying to WISE, when I applied as a VP of marketing, when I actually got the role. And I was really, really surprised because of that. And I think the biggest thing about imposter syndrome is that it's honestly in your head. And I think that it's not like a disease or anything like that. It's honestly your perspective and how you perceive different things. And especially us as college students, we're in a setting and an environment where we're constantly having to be, view everyone as competition, whether it be a co-op, whether it be a job interview, whether it even be classes as well. There's always imposter syndrome in every single thing that we experience in. And I think that it's super important that we're able to realize this and also acknowledge it and also take next steps toward it as well. Just because of the fact that I know for me that I had to deal with it, especially just by talking to other people and also trying to gain my confidence and my own soft skills and hard skills skill set. And even talking to other people as well is a really good way of relieving that imposter syndrome as well. But enough of me talking. Let's have Saasha, actually our amazing engagement associate, talk about her experience with imposter syndrome. I know Saasha as well. I know a lot of students this semester experience a lot of imposter syndrome due to everything being COVID and also everything being virtual as well. So if you can give your little experience on that, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, can we go to the next slide? Okay, so a lot of the time, imposter syndrome, like as Lori said, it's really hard to recognize in yourself. And personally, for me, I didn't even realize that my thought patterns kind of aligned with those until way recently. And it's essentially this belief that like all your peers are overestimating you and giving you way more credit than you deserve. And it turns into this like self-perpetuating cycle of self-doubt that can really make you sabotage yourself and hinder your own progress because you're constantly doubting your abilities and what you can accomplish. Some of the things that it can manifest itself as are like self-doubt, sabotaging yourself, just feeling overall unhappy with your work, even though you've put in effort and you've met expectations, refusing to celebrate your small wins. For me personally, I've felt imposter syndrome for a while now. I remember like even as a kid growing up, I didn't have a lot of confidence in my own abilities. Like I'd say my most prevalent memory is like in elementary school. I actually won like it was like a Mother's Day like poetry contest or something. And I found out that I had won like a first place. And I just remember feeling like really weird that like they had chosen me, even though like I knew that like I wasn't like a terrible writer and I knew I enjoyed it. Like it just the feeling was so like unsettling and it just felt like it didn't really belong. And over the years, this feeling kind of became like a security blanket for me almost. So like when something didn't go my way or like if I didn't get something I applied to, it would be like this security blanket or this like feeling that I could indulge in and kind of wallow in. And then only years later did I realize that it was like such a big hindrance to me and I was really sabotaging myself. Like I'd say like also a recent example is actually when I got the role as engagement associate for WISE when I applied, just because I had this like disbelief that I was actually qualified enough for the role, despite knowing that like I worked hard on my application, like I prepared for my interview. And it's just like this constant like uphill battle. And it's really important to recognize the small wins that you have along the way. But because imposter syndrome has such a huge potential to hinder you and your progress, it is really important to like recognize that you might have it so you can catch yourself having those thoughts and correct them.
So let's actually get to the next step of our workshop, which is the investing in yourself part. And I think a big discussion that we definitely do have is what makes you remarkable. And I think this is the biggest step in really combating imposter syndrome, just because of the fact that you really have to realize your wins and successes. And oftentimes not, even though we do have certain achievements, yes, there may be like a temporary moment of happiness, there may be a temporary moment of satisfaction, but if that's not something that you truly manifest in and honestly just like fully, I guess, take in that it really is a big achievement of yourself, then that could definitely affect imposter syndrome in your other actions or possibly in your other activities as well. So if anyone in the group or Saasha as well, if you guys want to talk about any time about what makes you remarkable, what makes you confident in what you do. I know for me, I definitely found a lot of confidence in myself regarding my support for empathy. I didn't know that about myself actually a lot before until after I joined WISE, where I had the chance and opportunity to really view myself as a leader, managing a team, and honestly seeing myself as more of someone who can be empathetic and whatnot. But yeah, Saasha, do you have any other experience as well?
Okay, it's kind of a hard question. I would say like definitely kind of the way that I like learned how to have more confidence in myself was definitely like surrounding myself with people who had like good energy and who were supportive and like definitely helped me kind of see that when I was struggling and would like always point me in the right direction. And I feel like the WISE community is such a like good like group of people to kind of surround yourself with, because even when you are like feeling down or whatever, like there's always someone who can kind of help you like there's always someone who's willing to talk and kind of like willing to help you redirect those thoughts. And something that we really emphasize in WISE is that like you really like aren't alone in like what you're going through. Like there's usually always someone who can relate or someone who feels the same way. And I think just that feeling of knowing that like this isn't something that you're going through by yourself, that like brings me a lot of comfort. And it also just honestly makes me have a lot more confidence, because I feel like okay, like everyone kind of goes through this, you know, like it's not just me. Like I'm not like this one person being singled out by like the universe who's going through this. Like it happens to everyone. So that's something that I personally take a lot of like comfort in, and it like kind of helps me cope as well.
Okay. And I think so after a thorough research and also just like seeing different people's experiences, there are certain techniques and also certain things you can do to really combat yourself and really invest in yourself and knowing what your wins are and also what your strengths as well as weaknesses are as well. So there are some self-affirmation techniques. One is the gratitude and meditation exercise, which is basically when you really just spend time with yourself. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that whether it is they find satisfaction, temporary satisfaction from meeting other people, or some people find they need to get constant validation in order to invest in themselves or feel good about themselves. But in the end, that is temporary. And in the long run, really just spending time with yourself and having that solitude time and really just knowing what your good strengths are and knowing what your weaknesses are as well is a really good technique, and really kind of investing in yourself and also getting to know more about yourself. As I said, yourself is your best friend. And I think another thing is just setting attention and affirmations to remind yourself of how great you are. So, for example, I know before sometimes I got caught up in the moment last semester, especially with everything going virtual. I felt like I had to do so much. Like I had to do HBO, I had to do WISE, I had to do co-op, and like even extra online classes as well. And I realized that although it was good for me and although it was a good experience that I did have, it wasn't super intentional of what I wanted to do in the future. And it wasn't super intentional of what I wanted to personally gain from this set period of time or this semester. And I think that's a really good technique to have, because you also know what you're lacking in and also finding different ways to kind of combat that as well, instead of just trying to feel like you have to do everything all at one time to feel good or feel like you have to gain an experience in something. And Also, another exercises are called confidence exercises, which is basically listen when someone gives you a compliment, and also just listen when people tell you your strengths. I think the biggest thing about individuals these days is that although we're confident or maybe possibly overconfident in certain things, sometimes we don't know what are the things that we're super, super confident about. And I think that's when principles come in as well, as in like, what are like the few, even like a few pillars or few strengths that you know that even though someone affects it, it's not going to be affected at all. Knowing like what is the good things about you and making sure that nothing can stop that or nothing can really kind of like shake it as well. And I think also just tapping into what makes you feel confident as well is another good thing, and incorporating some a bit into yourself as well. And also just complimenting others is also another good thing. If you're feeling proud, also just write it down. I know some people, like, they have a note thing of all the single times that they feel like they're proud of themselves, or some people even have different journals or different journal entries on what they felt good about that day, even if it's not like the most like big thing ever. So for example, like for me, like I didn't eat like a cookie because of my diet today or something like that. Something small like that is even the biggest win ever. And that ultimately affects your confidence in other things as well, and also just your mindset and perspective. And I think that when you succeed, you really should try to own it instead of shying away from it. If you know you did good, literally just say, I know I did good. And honestly, people can see that confidence and honestly that radiance from you. And that's ultimately the biggest thing about investing in yourself, is that you manifest in yourself first.
So yeah, Lori, I just wanted to say first, I really like how you touched on the point of like how you have to kind of like be your own best friend. And that's like something that I've also realized too. Like if you're constantly like feeding yourself negative thoughts and you don't like catch yourself in that and kind of like stop it, then like it's only hurting yourself. Like you really have to be your like biggest supporter and like your biggest hype man. So I feel like that's really important. Especially, well, moving on, especially when it comes to combating imposter syndrome, community is also really important. Like being able to surround yourself with people who uplift you and support you can really go a long way when you kind of find yourself like in this thought process. And a lot of people experience imposter syndrome. So if you do feel this way, the chances are really likely that you're not alone. And it's also really important to kind of go out of your way to check in on the people who are in your life, because the chances are a lot of them are going through the exact same thing. So when it comes to kind of like shifting out of this mindset, you really have to focus on changing the way that you think. So kind of shift from like what's wrong with this to what's right with this, and look for like this, even the smallest wins in like any situation, like even if it seems all around terrible. It's really helpful to kind of like look at the positive side, even if like sometimes it feels like there isn't one. And being conscious of the fact that your thoughts align with those of imposter syndrome is also the first step to kind of combating that. So for me personally, I've been like really lucky to have the wise ladies by my side, supporting me and just uplifting me like when I'm going through it. Like for instance, my VP, her name is M. During our weekly meetings, she always like is hyping me up, and like even though like it's just like a couple words or whatever, like it really makes me feel like I'm capable of accomplishing so much. And just that like small affirmation that I'm on the right track like really goes a long way. So yeah, being like making sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who are supportive and people who kind of help you when you are kind of having like those thoughts really does go a long way. And being aware that you have these thoughts in the first place is the first step to kind of improving your own situation. It's also really important to let go of perfection. That's something that one of our co-directors, Hannah, said, and it's really resonated with me. So let go of this idea that like you have to be perfect and everything you do has to be perfect, and kind of prioritize putting forth your best effort and then just being satisfied with that, because that often like really does go a long way.
Amazing, Saasha. That was perfectly said. I just wanted to add to that actually. So I definitely want to put this experience out there just because I'm pretty sure a lot of students and also people or individuals can resonate with this as well. But I think the biggest example is, I know, pretty sure most of you, we all have, parents or even like an adult figure somewhat who are maybe sometimes telling us or always blaming us on what like we're doing wrong. And I'm, even for like my family as well, like there are definitely times where I felt like a lot blamed on. I had to focus a lot on the things that I did wrong instead of them encouraging me at certain times. And whether it be like not even like your parents, maybe even your friends as well, or maybe even different organizations, different experiences you definitely had someone who kind of always pinpointed every single like bad thing instead of encouraging. And I would say the same thing for yourself as well. Sometimes I would say I am my own weakness, as in sometimes I blame myself for every little thing. Like I become too perfectionistic. I'm kind of like this OCD mentality where I'm just like reflecting on every single thing I do and what I did wrong. But instead I realized that it's kind of like I'm my own parent, I want to, instead of me blaming myself, I want to guide myself and really encourage myself to do the right things instead. And I think that's the difference between exactly what Saasha said, the difference between what's wrong with this versus what's right with this mentality. As in, obviously you can't ignore the things that you did wrong, but definitely focus on the things that you definitely did right on. And then after that, you can see, oh, what I did wrong, but what can I do with my right things to do something different after that? And I think that's definitely a big thing about imposter syndrome and really just investing in yourself. And it really is a key thing in not only building yourself, but also building your own community, because the people you attract as well is super important. And I think also as someone who has faced imposter syndrome, I want to do my best to make sure other people don't feel like that as well. Because the fact that, you should treat yourself how you treat you should treat others how you treat yourself. And that is a really big thing with investing in yourself, because you're not only investing in yourself, but you're also investing with the people around you. And that is a huge thing in not only your own growth, but your own development as well. But yeah, sorry, that's a small spiel on what I said. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the end of the workshop. Thank you guys all so much for coming. And thank you, Saasha, for literally being the most amazing co-host ever. And also thank you, Pathfinder, Catherine, and Tandiwe for having us here today. We're so excited to have Wise here today to represent Pathfinder and also talk about imposter syndrome. And if you guys have any more questions, and if you want to get more involved with Wise, we actually have our next We Learn event, which is our bi-weekly workshop series on February 17th. And we also have our next community event on March 17th as well, if you want to get more involved with our community and also get to know a bit more of the ladies here at Wise. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for coming, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Wise. Yeah, awesome. So we usually like to ask our guests a little bit about their first year in university. I know we all have really unique experiences. I know, Lori, you said you did NUN. Some people enter into Mosaic right away. Some people change their major a bunch of times. So I'd just love to hear a little bit more about how you started off at Northeastern and how things have changed as well.
I can go first. So I came to Northeastern in fall 2019, and I'm from California, so moving to the East Coast was definitely like a really big change. And it was something that I personally really struggled with, like kind of coping with, from even the littlest things like the time zone to the weather. Like it was just really hard for me to get adjusted to that. And I knew that like I wanted to be somewhere far away from home for college because I wanted to be pushed out of my comfort zone. But when it actually came around to that point, I was having like a really hard time kind of getting used to it. And especially, I'd say the thing I struggled with the most was finding like my community on campus, especially since Northeastern is like not super traditional. Like, for instance, our Greek life isn't very traditional. So I joined a lot of clubs. Like I had joined a sorority, I joined Wise, and in a lot of the groups, like I was just finding it really hard to find people that like I really resonated with. And so I'd say like the one organization that I've stuck with since the beginning of freshman year is Wise, just because it is like such like an uplifting community. But it was really hard for me to kind of get adjusted to that change, and I constantly had to like be putting myself out there and like joining groups. And a lot of the time, like it just wouldn't work out. Like I didn't really feel like I was able to connect with anyone on like the level that like I wanted to. And it was really hard for me to find to foster like these friendships that I really wanted. I was seeing all my friends at other schools, like making so many close friends like through their sororities, things like that. And it just wasn't happening for me. And I was actually even considering transferring, but then after a while I kind of thought about it and I was like, that's not really the way to go. Like I feel like this problem will just follow me to another school anyway. So when at the beginning of my second year, I applied to WISE as like an engaged. Well, I applied to WISE at the end of the second semester, but I started to get more involved with WISE. I applied to WISE's We Build program, met a lot of amazing, super cool people through that, became kind of close with them. And I also rushed DSP, Delta Sigma Pi, which is like a business route on campus. And through kind of doing those, even though I was remote at home in California, I was just able to kind of like make so many friends, meet so many cool people. And now I'm actually really excited to go back to Boston in a month because I really feel like I have that community. Even though like I'm at home, I feel like there's just so much like waiting for me in Boston. Like the city that like I like despised at one point is like the place where like I just really want to be right now. And so I would say like what I learned from that was just to like kind of keep pushing. Like sometimes you literally have to try like 20 times for like you to finally get it right. And so I'm really glad that like I didn't try to take like the easy way out by like transferring to like a school in my state or like anything like that. I'm really glad that I kept pushing and like finally found my community. So yeah, that's kind of my little spiel with like Northeastern.
Yeah, I love that. Lori, would you want to give?
Yeah, of course. Saasha, loved that story. Honestly, I would say I had somewhat of a similar experience to Saasha personally for me. So I actually also came from LA, California. Moving to the East Coast was definitely the biggest decision that I've made. But not only that, but I actually spent my first semester at NU in Greece, which was Europe, and I've never been there before. And not only that, it's like a sudden shift from going home to spending 3-4 months away, like drastically. And I think honestly, after my time at NU in Greece, I did definitely learn more about different cultures and also adapting to different places. Not only that, we stayed in Greece, but we also traveled to Europe. We traveled to Germany, Budapest, Vienna, France, different places. And I think honestly, when I came back to Northeastern second semester, it wasn't as hard to adapt just because of the fact that I already adapted so many times at Europe. But I would say the culture and also just the people I've met was a lot different from how I interacted with at SoCal. And how I got involved was actually similar to Saasha. I went to like a bunch of different meetings. I signed up for a bunch of different clubs, probably like 12 to 15 to be honest. But in the end, I found WISE, which was kind of like my home in the end. And at that time, WISE was actually a really new club. We only had like literally 88 followers on Instagram. We had like 14 people come to our workshops. And after I got the VP of marketing role, which is really unexpected to be honest, because I never really had much prior marketing experience to that, I really started to see this group of community of women who actually genuinely want to help you both personally and professionally. And that was really hard for me to meet at the time because of the fact that, you know, sometimes I went to different club events and I felt like I could somewhat fit in, but it didn't really feel as authentic or myself to me personally. And I think the biggest thing about WISE is that despite knowing your background, anything like that, they're here to genuinely and authentically support you. And even now, like after my VP marketing position, I got so passionate about my role, and our marketing has increased to almost 1,000 to this point. And just to see WISE grow this much is honestly like gonna make me cry. But it's definitely like a home at home in Boston, and definitely helped me really meet a variety of new people, and also give me the confidence to meet even people past just like my like comfort zone, a way of interacting or culture as well. I even like joined the Fashion Society. I was an e-board for that as a creative assistant for the fashion show last year. and also just meeting different people. I'm a sorority DeFi, and also just like a bunch of different people that you see in each of your classes as well. It definitely opened my eyes, because the fact that Northeastern is such a different school, because everyone's either in co-op, they're in literally like halfway around the world, probably global co-op or internship or anything like that. And we're still somewhat here meeting new people and also trying to like invest in ourselves. And I think that's the biggest thing with just transitioning to Northeastern.
Yeah, I love that. And it seems just like a great supportive community. And we totally encourage anyone who is listening to check out WISE. Pathfinder meets every week for roundtable discussions. We also meet weekly for workshops just like this one. So check out our Google Calendar and join in next time. Thank you so much and have a great day.